Hi, and welcome to our YouTube channel. We are with Sarah, the Salty Spiritualist. She's been studying and applying the art of energy healing since 2012. She's a Reiki master, a master instructor of integrated energy therapy, a licensed reflexologist, certified in regression hypnosis for BQH. You said here about that. And sound healer, intuitive mentor, and she loves helping people release the things that no longer serve them and bring them bodies into spirits into alignment. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I have known Sarah for a long time. She's come into my life several times in the past, probably like 10 years, I bet. And so I just thought it would be fun for another way to learn about different ways to holistically heal your body. Today we're going to talk about Reiki, reflexology, sound bowls, a tuning fork, all of the things. You do so many. I love it. How do these modalities support body and releasing blocked feelings?
They can support it in a couple different ways. So the energy itself can help transform, transmute, release some of those blocked energies itself because it's more powerful than the lower vibration, density, lower density emotions. But also just if you have a really good provider or good relationship with them and you feel safe in that space, the body itself, if you've set the intention to transform and heal and let go of whatever wants to let go of that day, that will just naturally happen. Like you just have to trust the process.
I love that you bring that up. So how do you help people feel safe in your space?
It's just a comfortable space. I do have a heated amethyst PEMF mat. So it's a grounding mat. If you love crystals, the crystal energy can also help you vibrate at a higher frequency, which is a more mellow frequency. And then it's just, we just talk. I'm very open. Like it's your session. If you don't want to talk, we don't talk. It's your time because people are so overwhelmed, and this is your time to decompress. So I let them know up front. And I also tell them what to expect. If it's your first time, and every Reiki healer does things differently. So I just kind of know my process, which is just a gentle hands-on touch. Some people don't touch, but I just like a nice light touch. And then just if they have any questions or anything. And some people, they have questions where they're just like, nope, just get me on the table and let's just do it. And I'm like, if they want to talk, it's great, but no, it's your session. We're just going to let it happen. Sometimes I have essential oils and sound forks. It's just whatever you need at that time.
You got it all. Okay. Yes, awesome. Okay. And how do these techniques influence the nervous system, particularly in shifting from fight or flight to relaxation?
I think, again, it's that support and that decompression where it helps you kind of do that downshift. I think a lot of people right now are just so, they're so burned out and they cannot decompress or downshift. And so it's just, I think that all of those tools that I mentioned earlier and just knowing that they're in that safe space and they can take that time to just let go. They don't have to be on. They don't have to do anything. But also, so just the energy, if we're doing energy healing itself kind of helps create that peace, and sometimes people feel vibrations. And sometimes if we're doing, obviously working on your feet, people love their feet rubbed with reflexology, and then we'll talk more about it, but there are techniques I can do to help calm that vagus.
Okay, awesome. So we'll get into reflexology first. How does working with pressure points on the feet, face, and neck affect emotional and physical healing?
So starting with the face and the neck, your vagus nerve, you can access it on the side of your throat. So if you turn your neck, you have that muscle pop. So if you are kind of feeling triggered, activated, stressed, or you can't decompress, you can rub the side of your throat, that muscle there. You can put a cold compress on, but I do a cold compress in my office. But you can just cold compress there, or frozen peas or something. That'll help you calm the vagus nerve. just like having your face rub itself is so relaxing too. You know, it just feels so good. But you know, like this is your head reflex. So if you're thinking too much, it's also some medicines consider the small intestine. Are you sweating the small stuff? You're overthinking, sweating the small stuff. So that, and then your neck is right between your eyebrows. So when people are stressed, you see them kind of squeeze.
Oh,
that's your neck, and that's where we hold tension, right? So that you can access it that way. Heart, raise your heart rate up, your blood pressure up, give it a little rub. Your ears, also, your whole body's represented in the ears. The lobes are the head, again. So dogs love their ears rubbed, or sometimes it feels good to rub your ears. So you can rub yourself, stimulate. So you're really stimulating the nerves because everything's connected. If you have anger, the liver on the right side, stomach, sorry, that's the left side. So
even the sides are different. Okay, organs. Awesome.
Yeah, because your liver's on your right side, your stomach's on your left side. So the feet are.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the feet are the same way. If it's in the center of your body, it's on both. Or it's in the center of your face, or it's on both feet.
Is it true that if somebody comes in for reflexology and you're working on their feet, it's not necessarily going to be relaxing?
Well, for my clients, they're like, this is amazing.
Really?
Because I'm so relaxed. Some people have said, you know, I don't like my feet touched. I was worried. I'm ticklish. And they're like, I love it. I'm tolerating this just fine.
Okay.
So,
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. You kind of already talked about reflexology and regulating the nervous system, and you've actually told a lot about like how we can just do it. Like people naturally just do that. When they feel tense.
Yeah, and the feet. I forgot to mention the feet. So that's kind of, the hands are the same thing, but the feet, there's along the inside of your arch. That's where we access the vagus nerve. And oftentimes I'll be pressing. It's kind of like on the inside of the heel area, where it starts to meet the foot. And I'm like, well, I'm working on your nervous system. And they're like, that tracks. You know? And I'm like, well, you can't sleep. Let's just work this out. You know, and we access it through the big toe, which is the head and the neck. So those are the main points for the vagus nerve on the foot. And I do a lot of that with clients.
I find that so fascinating. How long did it take for you to learn all that?
That was just a course that it's just, you know, once you know the point, you just focus on the points. But yeah, the vagus nerve is such a hot topic right now, and that's what I'd say a book of my clients are looking to. That's what they need. They don't know. So I'm like, just look up somatic healing, vagus nerve, because there's so many like simple stretches, eye movements you can do just to help, again, de-escalate. And that's just a bulk of the stress. I know for myself personally, I've done it multiple times to just get that vagus nerve to relax. Because you can like talk, you can do the breath work, you can do the Reiki reflexology, but if your nervous system is just on and open, breath work and all that's probably not going to get you to where you need to be. You need to really work that nervous system.
Do you do it on yourself all the time?
Not all the time.
Okay.
No,
I would like always be rubbing my face.
Sometimes after a meal, I'm like, oh, let's worry about that stuff. But yeah, no, and sometimes I do forget, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, I use the tools.
I have that in my toolbox. That's awesome. And so for people who are specifically struggling with that blocked emotion, what do you usually work on for that?
You know, I kind of just, again, let the energy guide it. I'm an intuitive healer. And sometimes I tell people, you know, we set the intention, but the energy is wiser than us. You know, we've got that reptilian brain in the back, and that's where our fear is. So we think in our egos, like, I need to fix this, or I need to work on this. But the energy and spirit, if you're into spirit, like, they were like, well, it kind of starts over here instead, you know, or it starts with this. You know that with your clients. Like, maybe it's just the symptom, but maybe the root cause is. And so sometimes we find that, like, we can hold resentment in our spleen. And sometimes that's just mother issues. And then sometimes people hold anger in their liver, and that's kind of more of a masculine. It could be an issue with a father or a man in their life.
So when you start working on somebody and they don't necessarily know what they're coming in for, you just let the energy guide you.
Yep. And if some people are just, you know, they're very more private, so I might not get a lot of intuitive information. And other people, they're a little bit more of an open book. I've had clients feel like nobody's ever seen me like that before. And it's it's all private, it's all personal. I'm not delving into your deep dark secrets, but sometimes there's just messages that come through, and it's not just that knowing or hearing a message helps you feel shift as well.
So speaking about Reiki now, how does Reiki work with the body's energy field to promote?
But it's a great, even if you wanted to listen to it, it's great for grounding. But this boot attachment, you can use it all over your body. But with my clients, I'm putting that grounding energy and that vibration right on their neck, on that vagus nerve reflex. And again, sense that grounding vibration frequency to use in your heart. And it said that just, again, with this grounding frequency, it just brings your body back into harmony.
So you hold it because I'm assuming you don't want to do it too hard, so you hold it right here.
Yeah.
Bounce it back and then do it. Oh, interesting. It sounds kind of like a bee.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that scaring somebody, but it's not a bee.
It's not scary.
It's not scary.
It feels good.
Yeah, it does feel really good. Oh, that's cool. And do you do that all over the body?
I'll usually just use it on the neck. I can use it on the feet.
Okay.
You can use it on your hands. So on your feet, there's a little spot where your diaphragm is. So a lot of people are just kind of compressed. So you could use it on that point of your foot or on the palm of the hand. Again, to just release that. You can rub your nose to open up that diaphragm, because again, the breath, you get some more oxygen.
Yeah.
Get your brain.
Some people have a hard time. Some people don't know how to deep breathe. So, yeah.
There's too much of it. Yeah, I felt it all in there.
Okay, tell us about sound healing and how that can be used to help overthinkers.
I like to use, I have other tuning forks, and I like it because you can't make sense of sound. We're not really programmed to make sense of sound. We like music, and it just, you're like, oh, that's nice. And the frequency in the sound is actually what is healing to your body. It can go into the chakras or just your nervous system or your cells. It can help transform those cells again into that more harmonious state. And so when people are just start doing energy healing, and you can just tell they just won't stop. I'll just whip out those sound forks. And sometimes when I'm doing Reiki too, you can just feel just something will not move. It's just stubborn, it's just stuck. So I'll take a sound fork, and sometimes there's a school of thought that if you've had a traumatic experience, part of your energy can break off into your auric field, and science can now measure the biofield around us. So the idea is at the edge of your fingertips is birth. It's like rings of a tree. As it gets closer to your body, that's more present time. Okay. And so you could have some of these traumas stuck out in your auric field, and the different tuning forks can help bring that back into your body so you feel more whole. Kind of like there's a spirit, I can't remember what it's called, it's drawing blank. When your soul, I can't remember the name of it, but it's when it's a spiritual healing to bring your soul back. If you have soul fragments, kind of that. There's so much different language and ways to do it, but it's kind of all the same thing at the end of the day. So the tuning forks can just, again, bring that energy back to you, and you feel more complete and not so scattered.
And I have been to one of your sound bowls. It's amazing. Does that work in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have all of the bowls out, and you're going for.
I got two more. I got two more coming.
Okay.
So I have the gong, and again, sometimes I'll just play that gong. I don't know if you're there for that, and it kind of just reverberates through your body, and you just can't help but to let go and have it release. And I've had people at the sound bath say man, I had this energy in my shoulder just bubble up, and then it just dissipated. Or and somebody said man, that was really difficult for me today. And I'm I could feel that everyone was it was a rough week, and you could I'm joking, but it was everyone's all sphinctered up. They're all just puckered up, and we're all just it's a tough time in the world right now for some people, and it's just like, whoa, and I can just feel it that everyone's holding on because we're bracing, right? And again, it's like life's gonna do what it's gonna do, but you have to take care of yourself and get yourself to a point where you can be resilient. You know, we're not always gonna have a calm nervous system, but the more resilient you are, your stress level isn't going to spike as much as it is. You're not going to need as much recovery as you normally do if you have a stronger, more resilient nervous system. Tools are where it's at. But,
Yes, absolutely. How can someone integrate these practices into their self-care routine?
anybody can buy tuning forks if you really like the sound. You can buy your own sound bowl. If you ever want to get attuned for Reiki or integrated energy therapy, you don't have to do it for money. You could do self Reiki, and people always ask if you could do that. And I say you can, but I liken it to, it's like rubbing your shoulder. It just feels better when somebody else does it. But definitely, I've given myself Reiki. It definitely works. It just feels good when somebody else does it for you. And then I think just also, and like the vagus nerve healing, like there's so many tools out there. Like they're so simple. They don't even cost money. You know, a lot of them. It's just, again, it's eye movements or different stretches or breathing. And then just those little things when you are finding yourself escalating, it's like put down the phone or and stop scrolling.
Calm down.
And just do the work.
Yeah.
And it can be for 5 or 10 minutes. It does not have to be like an hour-long workout. But the more you do it, the more your body's going to get used to it. And it's like, oh, it's time now. And sometimes just having that routine, maybe you do the same thing in the same order, kind of having, creating that ritual. Your body's going to start being like, oh, we're doing this now. I know that because we're doing these steps, at the end I'm going to feel better, and it's going to get faster. It's just going to start to be more automatic for you. There was a time when I was meditating, so I was doing some mudra, just hand placements, finger placements. And so I would do that while I was meditating, and I was sitting in traffic, and I was getting like more and more like agitated, and I just did the mudra, and my body just automatically relaxed.
Because it knew what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. And
You
so
trained it. That's awesome.
I trained it, and that's really, you just have to put the input. So hypnosis is great for that, like putting the input in so you can have the output.
And how often would you suggest, and I know that this is generally speaking, everybody's different, but how often would you suggest somebody come in for an energy heal?
So I tell my clients that if you're really going through something, you want to do it once a month for 3 or 4 months in a row. It doesn't have to be with the same person. It might be helpful because you kind of build that trust, and you kind of have a track record after a while. Your practitioner starts to know you and know what you've been going through, so you can track your progress. So 3 or 4 months in a row really that's what I've seen the most transformation for people. And they're like, I'm great, and they go off and live their lives. And then I tell them, just come back when you feel like you're just not yourself, you feel heavy, some kind of burden, and you just need that bump. Other than that, if they felt great after the first time, come back when, again, they're feeling heavy.
And what advice do you have for someone who's skeptical but curious about trying these methods?
It's okay to come with questions. It's okay to be skeptical. And I am the kind of person that I'm just very kind of neutral about it. Like, I'm not too far off woo-woo, but there are experiences that I've had that I can't explain. I do get messages, I don't know how to explain it. And sometimes when I tell people things, they're just like, how did you know that? So I'm not trying to change people's minds.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be skeptical. Just don't be guarded, because you're not going to get anything. And then you're going to be like, well, that proved you right, because I don't feel anything. And just have an open mind and say, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And if you feel great and you don't know why, or you think, oh, I feel great because they're relaxed, that's okay too. That's totally okay.
You still get something out of it.
Still get something out of it. And come with your questions and your concerns, and it's totally fine. We'll talk about it.
Tell us about your cards, and you also have a book. Tell us about all the things that we haven't talked about, because I know that there's more to it. It's a lot. You're in a lot of things.
Yeah, if you're into human design, I'm what they call a manifesting generator, which means we're just the Jill of all trades, master of none. So it's kind of the ADHD creative spiritual self. No, I created some cards, oracle cards, off of lessons I was getting. I was getting these messages, and I'm really stubborn. Like, I do this work, but let me tell you, I'm the one that needs it the most. And that's why people get into this work, because they need it.
Yeah.
And then I can turn around and teach it after I learned it. So I kept getting these messages, like a replay, over and over and over. And I just, after like 4 days, I'm like, what is this? And I had to really think about it. And I applied that message to something that had happened in my life. And I could just feel this like energy release. It was just kind of like that shiver and just out of my body. It was just kind of the shift. I was like, wow. And it happened again, and I ignored it for like 4 days. I was like, what is this? Same thing happened. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And after like maybe 4 or 5 times, it kept happening, and I was like, I should write these down.
You started listening.
Yeah, I was like, this is amazing. So anyway, and I was like, oh, I should call this like 10 lessons from spirit. And they're like 7. It's just 7. They got me at 7. I'll try to remember them all, but it's the one lesson that came from somebody else, and that was you don't have to fix everything. And I was having just a really hard time. I think it was my nervous system, and everything was just like really like crazy and agitated. And I'm sensitive to energy, if you believe in that. And so my body was just like overwhelmed. And so it called to me, I'm like, I need Reiki right now. You need to fix this, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm on the table, and her hands are like, she's like, my hands are shaking, like, my body's shaking. And she's like, I don't normally get messages, but I keep getting this over and over and over in my head. I'm like, yeah, I hear ya. And she said, you don't have to fix everything. So even though I was having this experience, it was natural. It was just something my body was going through. It was just an adjustment and a relief. Show up for yourself. Self-growth happens outside of your comfort zone, which everybody knows, but not everybody likes to do.
Doesn't always apply, yes.
So have a balance. Find balance in all things. And I think finding balance has been kind of taking a hit lately. But balance means some days you have more energy for other things, and some days some things have to go to the back burner. You have to know your limits and what you're capable of, and that shifts every day. It can shift hour to hour. So it's okay to find balance that way. Just be like, today the house is gonna just be a mess because I have to do this instead. So that's finding balance. What else? The hardest one was love is all there is. Because I mean that's such a high spiritual concept. But it's not human love. Human love is conditional. We love people because of how they make us feel. And we love like qualities in people. But love, spiritual love is literally just a high vibration. And that's just the energy of what everything is made of in the universe. It's just one continuous vibration that doesn't change. Yeah, so there's 7 of them.
That's okay. But you have the cards. You have oracle cards.
Yeah, and so I just break them down. And then, of course, the salty, I have in the salty language. So you don't have to fix everything, as ain't nobody got time for that.
Facts.
Yeah. And I use humor as a way to kind of go in the back door, like the sound healing. Humor it'll first make you laugh, and then it'll make you go, oh, that's so relatable, and then you're like, oh, that's so true. Okay, that's me. All right, I get it. You're right. So.
And you also have an empath book.
Yeah, I wrote a little empath 911, and that's just help yourself deal with the craziness of you're like, I just need protection. Like, it's not always about protection. Sometimes it is. Yeah, sometimes you need to block yourself off so you're not overwhelmed. But it's really about using those tools to keep yourself from taking on everything. And that's usually what I need to fix everybody. I need to feel everybody's pain. It's my pain. It's not. And that was another lesson. Honor your journey and the journey of others. And so I think that's the hardest lesson for anyone fix everything and take everybody's energy on. And there's different ways of doing that, or like, just this. I use the dirty dancing. This is my dance space. This is your dance space. So if you're like Gen X, you'll understand. But it's just, this is my space. You don't need to come into my space. I don't need you into my space. I don't need to deal with your stuff. You can deal with your own things. It's your journey. It's your lesson. But then there's also like practical or physical things, because we're physical human beings. Like, we're tactile. Salt. Take a salt bath, do a salt float, scrub with salt in the shower. And our bodies are electrical, and salt is a conduit. And it just, again, it's all about coming back to that harmonic resonance. And so if it's sound, or it's salt, or earth, or water, those things can also kind of get you back into your center and your space. Or sometimes people like smells. I'm like, just have your spray. When you're done with work, just spray yourself down and be like, I'm letting go of everyone's energy. And another tip I love to give to people is, this is great for the end of the day, but it's also great during the day if you really just can't remember to keep people out of your space. I release everyone's energy, and I call my energy back to me, cleanse. And sometimes if you're sensitive, you can really feel it. You'll feel like this weight lifted off of you, and you'll feel yourself come back into your body. You're like, whoa. So it's great to do when you're in bed. But also, if you're just like, you are so scatterbrained during the day and you can't focus, just do that. Feel like, just like, so you break, like, no, everyone's energy out of here. I don't need it. And
Anything else that would be good for us to know that I haven't asked? We covered a lot. So it's okay if the answer's no.
Just something that's coming into my head is, I don't know why this is so cliche, but I'm just hearing, like, you just have to take it one day at a time. You take it one earth-shattering crisis at a time, too. Like, you literally can only do what you can do. And just remember that. And I did have a client who I said, not all of the burden falls on your shoulders. And they were like, okay, I need to hear that. And I don't know why we do that to ourselves. We just think we have to shoulder so much burden, or change everything, or feel like everything's happening to us. And there are so many different ways that you can be empowered. You just have to you clean up your side of the street. If you can just take care of your environment, your family, your immediacy, everything else can kind of fall into place too. Not everything's going to happen when we want it to happen. But again, if you can create that resiliency and take care of your space and your personal self, you're going to be able to handle this difficult times a lot better. And it's just, you got to just keep going. I like it.
So how do people reach out to schedule with you?
My website is ReikiReflexology.com. That's the easiest way. And there's all my information about all my services and all my links and classes.
Visit your website, and then you can book on your website?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming to visit and share all of your wisdom with us. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.